Hi, welcome to Sahara Tech. In my last lesson, we discussed about constants and variable and what is the main difference between them along with how you can declare those using Swift language. If you haven't seen my previous video, then do check out this video description as I've shared the link for it along with all the helping material you can read from like Swift official documentation which will really help you to learn more about Swift language. You can also download the code which I'll cover in this video from the link mentioned in the video description. Now, what is data type? While programming in any language, you need different types of variable and constants for different types of data you want to store in. Like for storing name in a variable or constant, you will use string data type and for the whole number an integer. Hence, there are different data types available in Swift language, which you can use for your variable and constant, so that those can hold different types of data. The first data type is int, which is short for integer and is commonly used in our day-to-day programming. Basically, integers are whole numbers with no fractional component and can either be signed or unsigned. Signed integer means it can be positive value like 44, 0, or can be a negative whole number as well, like -23, and you can define it with int keyword. Whereas unsigned integer, it can either be positive whole number or 0. And you can define any constant or variable with uint keyword, which is short for unsigned integer. It totally depends which type you want to use, as if you want your variable and constant to store a negative whole number as well, then you will declare your variable and constant with int keyword like var degree angle int is equal to -45. If you don't want negative whole number for your variable and constant, then you can define those with uint keyword like var class id uint is equal to 9914. There is more to integer which you can read from Swift documentation. Check the link in my video description. Second data type is for floating point numbers such as 3.14159 or -54.25. Swift provides two signed floating point number types which are double and float. Double has a precision of 15 decimal digit max. Like if we create a variable to store pi value, suppose var pi value double is equal to this value and use print statement. Then you can see in the console that value with only 15 fractional points are stored in our variable. And if we change the data type for the same variable from double to float and run the code again, then you can see the precision of float which is less than half of the double range. The appropriate floating point type to use depends on the nature and the range of values you want to work with in your code. And in situations where either type would be appropriate, double is always preferred. The third data type is string, which is used for storing textual or alphanumeric values. Like if you want to create a variable to hold an employee name, then you can declare your variable with var keyword, along with variable name as employee name, string. By this, variable with string type is created. Let's assign a value by writing variable name is equal to. This is where you have to assign string value with double quote, as strings are always initialized with the value using double or triple quote. Let me first write our employee name within these double quote. For example, Adil Ilyas. Regarding triple quotes, you will use them if you have a multi-line text and requires in a format it is written. Then you have to define it like let greeting message string is equal to triple quote. You have to press enter so you can write your string in the next line, as it is mandatory for both the triple quotation to be in a separate line, else compiler will give you an error. Let me write hi everyone, and in the next line, welcome to Sahara Tech. Let me print this constant in the console using print statement. As you can see, the string initialized with triple quote is maintaining the format it was defined. It totally depends on your requirement, whether to use double quote for defining a single line string or triple quote for multi-line string. The fourth data type is bool, short for Boolean, which are referred as logical values because they can only ever be true or false, and we can define our variable and constants with bool keyword. Let me define two constants. let is coding fun, bool, is equal to true. Let is life easy, bool, is equal to false. Mostly we use Boolean data types in conditional statements, like if something is true, then execute this code, else execute something else. We'll cover conditional statements in the next coming videos. Just to summarize, in order to store different types of data in variable or constant, we use relevant data types, so the language compiler, while compiling our code, knows which type is used for each variable and constant, and execute the code accordingly. There are two ways we can declare a variable or constant with the relevant type, either via type annotation or via type inference. Let's review each in detail. Type annotation explicitly specifies the type of a variable or constant, like when we mention the type ourselves, while declaring any variable or constant with the colon, like var employee name string. Now this variable can hold alphanumeric value, as we have explicitly mentioned a data type string with this variable. Do remember, Swift is a case-sensitive language, so you have to write string with the capital S, else you will get an error. The way we have defined this variable with an explicit type is referred as type annotation in Swift language. Now what is type inference? When we declare a variable or constant without a data type and initialize it with a value, then Swift language compiler will automatically infer a data type for this constant and variable based on the provided value. Like var student name is equal to widget green. If we use print statement for this variable and execute it, then you can see this variable is holding a string value, where compiler automatically considers string data type for this variable. You can also assign a variables or constant value to a new variable. Let me show you how. First, create a new variable, var manager name is equal to, suppose, employee name, which we created before and holding a value. Now let's use print statement to check the value of this variable. Write print, and within these parentheses, call the variable name. As you can see, the value of employee name was successfully assigned to our newly created variable. Also, if I try to assign a value other than string to this newly created variable, suppose manager name is equal to 123, then the compiler is going to give us an error that integer value cannot be assigned to a string type variable, because when we create this variable and assign employee name value, Swift compiler declared it with a type string, so it can hold any string type data. Let me give you a short assignment. What is the maximum and minimum number we can store in an integer? Which data type can store a larger number, int or double? If we use type inference for a variable like var commission is equal to 12.50, then which data type Swift compiler will consider for this variable, float or double? You can post your answers in the comment section. In the next video, we'll cover what are tuples and how we can declare those in Swift language. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit the subscribe button and bell icon so you can get notified for every video I'll be sharing in future. Thanks for watching.